Hey everyone, my name's Sunny. I run hate56.com. I wanted to thank everyone for checking out the videos from This Is Hardcore 2014. I think as of today we're about 13 or 14 sets in, with about 50 more to go. So there's a lot left on the plate. The videos have been getting a tremendous response. I think as of today, the Code Orange set has about 40,000 views, which is already the #2 most watched video on my site, which is crazy because it's only been up for less than a month. But yeah, people are emailing me saying that they've checked out a new video from the fest and it turned them on to a band that they didn't hear otherwise. Bands are hitting me up saying that they're noticing an increase in interest on social media, or even kids are coming out to shows saying that they saw them on a Hate56 video from the fest and it really made them want to come out, so that's also good too. What I wanted to do is a short video series to kind of go through the process of what goes into making these videos happen, to kind of demystify the process. In this first episode, we're going to meet up with Len Carmichael, who is an audio engineer and also a good friend of mine in Ewing, New Jersey. And he is one of the engineers who's been mixing and mastering these sets for me. And in the second part of the series, I'm going to kind of show you my process, how I'm actually doing the multicam edits. I think a lot of people think that these videos are very easy to edit, but it's actually a lot of work. And the purpose of this video is to really kind of make it clear about the amount of time and effort that's going into making these videos a reality, so you can all enjoy them. I wanted to thank everyone who's been volunteering to help with this project. In particular, Steven Cergizan and Brian Brooks, who helped me run the multicam sets. They were operating second and third camera angles for a lot of the weekend. Besides Len, I want to thank Jeremy Eager and Dylan Tosh, and Taylor Young and Brad Boatright, who've also been helping to mix and master some of the sets. They've all been volunteering their time, which is great, and they all have a very unique style, which is giving these videos a very unique flair. So I want to thank them, and if you guys want to help continue to make these videos as good as they are and help us kind of improve for next year, please donate. Like I said, all of this is a labor of love, and we could use the money to help just buy equipment, upgrade equipment, and even just so I can throw some money at these guys who are really just volunteering their time to help me bring you the best quality videos as possible. So let's go inside and we'll talk to Len.
It's a lot more involved than most people would think. They're like, just, you hit record and then it's recorded and that's it. And, I mean, it could be that, but if we're doing a fest and we're doing it the right way, we have to actually take the time to go through and do it. My biggest concern is, what does the kick drum sound like? And this is what I get off of the console. I had to make a choice this year whether I was going to take the inside kick or the outside kick. I chose the inside kick. It might have been the wrong idea, but I can still work with it. So my first thing is to compress it. I want to get a solid hit all the time. So now I'm getting that. I've put on a basically a Neve style V comp. It's I think it's part of the Wave series. I use that a lot. So I smash that, and then I want to start getting some low end and suck out a little bit of the high end. So I'll use the API to start getting that going, and then I really have to focus in on getting some thump. So I just actually use one of the simple 7-band EQs from it comes actually with Pro Tools, and it's close to what I want, but I actually have to double down on it. So now we're actually getting that really low thumpy kick drum that you would have heard at the show. So that's where I start. My next step is to actually get a snare sound that fits with that kick drum sound. So this is what I'm getting directly off the board. It's not bad. It sounds pretty good. It is just the snare top mic. There's no mic underneath right now, so I'm not getting any of the sizzle. So what I need to do is actually create some resonance. This is a clipper, so it really causes the mic to open up and add some noise dirt, and I actually use it a lot. So I use that, and then I use an EQ, an API EQ again, to really focus in on the areas of the snare that I want to hear. And then my last step is to really just compress it so that I'm getting a solid sound straight through. So if you hear them together, that's exactly what you would have been hearing at the show. had to work on the toms next. They're only 2 toms, but you want to be able to hear them. So, in that section, I'm using some Maserati plugins, and he's actually got a setting for toms. I go in and I adjust it, but these are already pre-adjusted. I am picking up some overheads, possibly even some crowd out of these. If I turn these off, you'll hear the difference. This is what I picked up right off the mics. I mean, the difference is astounding. I mean, they don't sound the same at all. So then to re-review that same section with them turned back on. And since it's a live setting, I'm not going through and doing the things that I would normally do. I will actually just leave everything in. I'm not trying to cut it up. I want to get the feeling of being there as much as I possibly can. So you can hear him screaming in these microphones, and I'm not going to cut that out. It makes it more interesting. So, that's just kick, snare, and the 2 toms. My next step is to work on specifically the overhead, which is going to be picking up some of the crowd noise. It's going to be picking up pretty much anything that's going on, because the mic is pointed right at the drum set, but that doesn't mean that it's not pointed at the crowd too. So, with nothing on it, it's pretty good. But I want to kind of focus away from the low end, so that if there are vocals, etc., that I need to pick up, it won't get filtered out by the low end sound. So first things first is I'll use just the standard Waves Q10 and do basically a high pass filter and pull it out so that the low end is really kind of just going away. And this mic has a little bit of hiss, but I'm not really worried about it. I think it actually makes it a little more interesting. We'll see, because we're coming right up on a section where the whole crowd is definitely singing along, and you'll be able to hear it. See what I mean? So then my second step is compress it. So I'm using a Chris Lord Algae 3A. I'm basically using the Rock My Room compression. It is adding some more high-end hiss, but it's worth it to get the things that you're looking for. So just with just drums in this is literally just drums. That crowd coming right through, and that's what I want. And then I'll do the same thing for the hi-hat and the snare, but it's much less interesting. It's just for flavor. And then start adding in the bass, which I've also worked on its own. Once I've got something going on, I think this is pretty close to a decent mix. I mean, it's going to change a little bit, my next step is to work on that main vocal. So through the whole song, he's running around the stage. He's handing the mic out. People are trying to rip it out of his hands. There are a number of things I have to do. In here, I might have to go through and listen to almost every second of this to see if there's a spot where he either drops the mic or he punches the mic or it hits someone, etc., because it makes a really loud clipping noise, and that needs to be removed. Even though it'll be in other mics just from it hitting the speakers, it will be less evident than if I leave it in this track. So I need to actually go through and check for those. I haven't gone through this one, but in like that piece right there, you can hear that he did something, whether it was hit his chest with the mic or hit his hand on the mic. That noise gets exacerbated because it's in everything. So I need to at least take it out of somewhere, and the handheld mic would be where I would have to go in, delete it, fade out, fade in, so that while you may hear a slight change, it's not as obvious as if it was being compressed through everything. So that's the first thing I would do with vocals. So that's going through a whole, I guess, 34-minute file and listening for each one of those pieces. Secondarily, I want to sit down and really listen to what he's doing. So the first step is to put on a vocal rider. The vocal rider will actually move along with the voice so that you keep a steady signal, so that there won't be as much volume change or feeling change throughout each section. Let's see. See what I mean? It's like it rides along with it to try and keep. It tries to keep it at a steady level. And then I'll actually go through and put a secondary, just another compression on it. Directions, they bow there. But in some cases like this where he's handing out the mic, I'll have to go through and actually hand edit that to make it louder or quieter in some situations. It really takes a lot of time. The other thing that I will typically do, I'll actually set up a second track and actually send this information to it, basically an auxiliary bus where I can do secondary compression on it and as well give it some space. So my first step is to set up the last compression, and maybe this is not necessarily what other people would do, but this is what I do for this. Let's see here. I want to put a little bit of delay on it. Now, what I'm doing is delaying it left and right so that it gives it some space and time changes. Delay a little bit less on one side than the other. And give me 1 second to set up this bus. So if it's on, right now it's off. So this is just straight down the middle. But if I turn it on, you can see it spread out a little bit. It gives it more of a feeling of.
And what we get. This is what we get.
You know what I mean? It's not supposed to.
Look at what we get.
if you're at the show, you don't hear the left speaker and the right speaker at exactly the same time. Either you're turned sideways or you're not standing directly in the middle, so one is going to get to you sooner than the other.
One way faces forward as the other. We both love. We both love.
That's what you're looking for, right? That's your noise coming off the zoom. This is the zoom. So that's with the zoom and everything in. Sometimes when you put on a new plug-in in the middle of everything, it cuts out. So at this point it's basically mixed, but I'd have to actually surgically go through and cut up anything that I want to cut up. I'd have to really focus in on EQ now that everything's together. But generally, for every set, however long that set is, it takes me 3 to 4 times longer than that. Because I have to go through each piece and listen for things and change things. Because I really want to give it the feeling of being there as much as I possibly can. I mean, sometimes it's not possible. Either there's not enough crowd reaction, or the band was too loud on stage and it's just impossible to pick it up. Or sometimes it's just not, it doesn't work. So that's generally what I do for every set, and I try to capture this. But in this case, the crowd was into it, and you can tell.